So say you found this article. It's entitled Examining Attention Given to Threats to Elephant Conservation on Social Media. And you are aware this is a peer-reviewed journal article. It is published in a journal called Conservation Science and Practice by a publisher known as Wiley. And you can start to notice some things before you even start reading all this content. One thing that's kind of interesting is it's telling you when this article was received, when it was revised, meaning edited by the authors to usually improve things based on peer review from other scientists that read this. And then finally it was accepted. So you can see that there's a time frame of this process of peer review. The other thing you'll notice is that there's 3 authors on this, and they have numbers that indicate their affiliations. So you can look at what organizations they're with. And sometimes that can give you a sense of just their background, who they might be, what their involvement in this project is. And it also gives you a correspondence name and email if you ever have questions about the article. So the article is structured. Most research articles have an abstract, which is like the overview of the paper. It's sort of everything condensed down into 1 or 2 paragraphs usually. Has keywords, and then it's going to start with the introduction. The introduction is going to be very general to start. In this case, they start with a sentence about how human activities on the environment are driving global declines in biodiversity. And they cite another author in another paper, Tillman et al., 2017. So if you wanted to start your paper mentioning overall biodiversity declines, you wouldn't cite this paper, which is Hammond et al. You would have to cite Tillman. And in that case, it would be good scholarship to track down this article yourself and actually acquire it, read it, and then cite it in your own words, of course, or find another article that says similar that you can cite. So going back up to the top, we have the introduction, which is going to set the stage for it, the methods of how they actually did their study. They talk about looking at Twitter posts about elephants and classifying them in different ways. You can get a sense of their statistics, how they did that, and then finally their results, which is really just an overall sort of no kind of discussion of what they mean, but just the actual results themselves. Some tables, often some figures, and then finally you'll get to the discussion at the end, which is where they try to wrap everything up, link it to the other literature on the topic, and come to some final conclusions. So as you read all this, it's a lot. It could take a long time to read through all this. And in a lot of cases, you will kind of skim through this unless it's an article that you feel is absolutely critical to your research, in which case you'll want to know it in detail. But in many cases, you're going to kind of skim through, particularly as you get more accustomed to these articles, to find the critical information that will help you in whatever you are studying. Of course, the last stage at the end is to look at, sometimes there's an acknowledgments, which may or may not have much information, but then the literature cited and or the references. And this is where you might see other articles that you should read if this is similar to your topic.